Today we're taking a deeper look into the Vault and land sale following recent announcements by RedFOX Labs. As always, Benny Fairbank, the co-founder and CEO, he's here for you. How are you doing, Benny?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing great, thanks. And there's a lot of excitement brewing in the community as a lot of the building blocks are shifting into place, and also a lot of questions, of course. So let's get into it. Last week's blog announced that the first sale for the Kellanova quarter in the Genesis Vault will begin before the 22nd of September. It's the first time I've heard it referred to as the Genesis Vault. So can you give us a bit more information about that?
Yeah, I mean, basically the first Vault, or the Vault is going to be the global version, right? And then we're going to roll it out at country level. So this is the Genesis Vault, the first release of the Vault.
So the Genesis quarter is the only one to go on sale at the start. Has that changed, and when are the next quarters going to go on sale?
Yeah, so Kellanova is the first quarter, which is the art-themed quarter. That's the first one that will go on sale. As we know, it's with RedFOX only, and it will also come with a limited edition NFT that provides access to free entry for all standard events for the next few years. So that's going to be pretty big. The reason we've done it this way is because we've felt the market, we've looked at what's actually happening, and we've looked at the way that the development will roll out. And what we know is that if we go quarter by quarter, that's great for us because we've got an allocated amount for budgeting and all the rest of it as well, for the market side of things and marketing. So what that will mean is that we can actually really start to build the momentum between the city rollouts, and we can actually hold back a little bit on some of those clients and make sure that we roll this together very, very well. So it just, as we've said before, it's pivot. It's a startup, and that's what you do. And we've looked at never changing the end in mind. We always want to get to that end point. We're just changing the structure of making sure that we sell it quarter by quarter.
And you mentioned there's a Megamoons bonus NFT for all purchases of a shop in Kellanova. What value could you put on that?
No idea. I always say with this type of stuff, it's up to what the market pays, and ultimately only the shop owners are going to get these. So this is going to be something that is pretty sought after, I would assume, especially if you're considering that gives you access to any standard event for the next 3 years. So there could be some pretty cool stuff happening in there, and I think that this would be, I think it'd be highly sought after, that's for sure.
Okay, and we've been showing some conceptual designs recently. Can you go over some of those? What are we seeing in the Kellanova quarter, the HQ of RedFOX Labs, and also the interquarter shuttle stations?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people have come back and sort of said, what do you mean it's for illustration purposes only? It's not going to look anything like this. The reason we say that is because we want to make sure that if there is any changes, people don't say, oh, you've changed that window or you've changed that, because it can get pedantic. And the thing is that as we're modeling it out and as we're clicking it all together, some things need a little bit of refinement, and that has happened since the beginning. If you look at the first view of what we thought the world would look like versus how it does. Now, the one thing I can say that's very different is these are not just drawings. This has actually been built. The 3D model for the space and everything has been built, and we're actually going to be able to have a very rough sneak peek walkthrough this week with our Oculus headsets. So that's pretty exciting for us, and I think it's close to, obviously it's still pretty raw, but it gives us a much better understanding of taking it from paper and concept and seeing it on a computer to actually walking around and saying these dimensions feel great, or understand the space usage here, this is great. And it really gives us a much better and more informed opinion in the creative design process as well. But everything that you're seeing is being built, and that's how it is now. And those shuttle stations and everything are as is. There might be color changes or slight refinements, but ultimately that's already built. Those pieces are built in 3D and in virtual reality.
And what point are you up to in terms of the Vault build and design?
Yeah, so you've seen the picture of the city as far as the floating station. That's actually completely built in 3D already. So that whole thing's built. Now we're at the point of putting the buildings on. So you've also got one of the pictures that has like a helicopter view of the 3D model of the city. So that's how it exists, and then the buildings get clicked onto that. So they're just working out the placement of how the buildings get pieced onto that, and they're building the marquee buildings. What you'll end up getting for standard shop ownership is you'll get 5 or so standardized templates that you'll be able to fully customize so different shapes of shop and different design of shop, and then you'll be able to customize those. And of course, you still have the option to be able to say, no, I want to build something completely unique. That would be your responsibility. But ultimately, we'll provide templates and customization and all the rest of it, and that'll get clicked in over the next week, and then we'll be able to walk around and have a look at how it all looks, and then the rest of it's just adding the trees and making the updating the beautification.
Yeah. Okay. And on to some community questions. What steps are being taken to grow the investors community in time for the shops? So that investors community is slightly different from the folks on the Telegram communities.
Yeah, sure. So the investor community, we're doing a lot of marketing in two realms. One is we're actually targeting all of the people that are likely to use the product. So that's one. And don't forget, in this local areas, they're language specific, these countries across the region. So depending where you are and who you are, it will depend on what you actually are seeing. Second thing that we're doing is we're actually starting to build that transparency and build that narrative, and we're also going more for that, the C-level updates and the transparency, and getting a lot more. We've got a lot of blogs and stuff that are we're working with publishers to get those out to attract a different type of audience, which is more sort of the investor side. So we've got two distinct audiences, and they're becoming painfully obvious to us as far as the distinction between them, whereas before it was, when you first start up, as you know, it's sort of market everything to everyone, and then you start to segment and you start to understand your customer profiles, and then you really go out and start to build those. So we're giving this a big push. We've had, as we've stated before, we've had ads made by professional Hollywood style studios and all the rest of it that'll be out in time for the sale lead up, and we've pumped a lot of time, effort, and money and attention into making sure that we get the polish right so that it's ready to go prior to the sale.
Okay, question on shop ownership. Is it for an undefined duration, or is there any need for it to be renewed? What happens if the shops are vacant and there's nothing happening with them?
That's a good question. So we're bringing out the law over the next few weeks. So you saw on Friday we brought out blog number 1. So we've got a weekly update that goes over the LORE, which is the story behind the virtual space. And then we go over the law, LAW, which is those rules and conditions and terms. But effectively, if you buy a shop, you buy the shop. That's it. But we are putting into place a mechanism for making sure and ensuring that the quartermasters are driving the fact that those stores are open and selling. What we don't want is a ton of people sitting on shops and not doing anything with them. So there will be some caveats in there to make sure that those stores are open and operable, or rented out to somebody who will do that.
So just a quick question about KOGs Slam multiplayer. How did that all go? Can you share any of the stats about who was playing, and how's it all tying in with how you're doing geo-targeted marketing?
Yeah, so that's a good question as well, because the multiplayer version allows people to play against other players, much the same as the original KOGs Slam game that was brought out earlier this year did. It allows you to pair up against online users, but they're heading rapidly towards being able to select who you actually play against. So that's when that type of stuff really changes, because I'll be able to find you, Lenny, and then kick your butt in a game. So I'll be able to hunt you down, as opposed to just going on there and waiting and hoping that I get you. And as you get more and more players come in, that's going to be harder to find the person that you want to target and play. So that side of things and the targeted side of things is definitely coming, but it was a milestone in itself to get out the multiplayer, and then we're putting the polish on behind the scenes to be able to do that. And also, as you know, these are the last couple of steps before you get into that play to earn rollout. So it's all very exciting, and it's coming together well, and it's just progress, and that's what's really important. We're just doing little milestone by little milestone, showing that progress. But when you've got teams of 12 to 15 people in one particular venture, and then you've got the type of talent that we've got on the team now, and we're bringing on multiple people every week, it is scary what this team is going to be capable of achieving.
Okay, all right, yeah, building, and right. So I think it's time to wrap it up, Benny. Are there any last updates? Anything important we might have missed?
Yeah, just make sure that in the comments that you write down what you like, what you don't like about the reports, what you want to see more of. As I said, it's part of radical transparency, and we're trying to make sure that we've even shown you revenue projections. We've shown you what the businesses are doing, what they're up to, what phase they're at, and we've got a few things dropping in the next month. So we want to be able to make sure that you feel as though you're well informed.
Okay, so that's all we have time for. Guys, if you haven't seen it yet, check out the latest blog for more info on the Vault progress, and it's on the redfoxlabs.io website. You can also sign up to the letter if you want to get that delivered to you directly each week. All right, so everyone have a great week. Benny, just one last quick question. How are you really feeling about all this?
I'm much more excited than I've ever been. I'm actually going back to childhood when I'm thinking about donning a VR headset, which I'm new to, just got it last week, and walking through the space that we're building. I don't think that it's hard for me to explain to people watching the immense satisfaction that we're going to get from seeing the end vision, seeing the pieces of that end vision in VR, nevertheless. So I can't possibly explain. It would be impossible for me to try and vocalize how we feel.
How cool. All right, so we'll leave it at that. Thanks, Benny.
Thank you. Have a great week.